It's early evening, just after work. You're sitting in your car in the parking lot outside your apartment building. The engine is off, but you haven't opened the door yet. Inside the car, it's quiet. The air smells faintly like the coffee you grabbed on the way home. Your phone lights up with a message asking if you want to come over. You read it. You don't feel anxious. You don't feel sad. You just feel tired in a very specific way. And staying right here, alone, sounds better than explaining why you don't want to go anywhere. From the outside, people who love being alone can seem hard to place. They don't complain about loneliness, but they also don't chase company. They turn down plans calmly. They leave gatherings early without making excuses. They don't fill silence just to prove they're comfortable. To some people, this looks distant. To others, it looks self-contained. Either way, it gets noticed. If you watch them in social settings, there's a pattern. At first, they're present. They listen. They respond. They're engaged. But after a while, their energy changes. Their posture shifts. Their attention drifts inward. Not because they're bored, and not because they dislike anyone there. They're just full. The room hasn't done anything wrong. Their system has reached capacity. This is usually where misunderstandings begin. People assume loving solitude means avoiding people, that it's a defense or a sign of discomfort. But that explanation doesn't hold up when you look closer. Many of these people care deeply about others. They're loyal friends. They show up when it matters. They remember small details. They just don't want constant access to their attention. Being alone doesn't feel empty to them. It feels orderly, predictable. When they're by themselves, there's no background pressure to respond or react. No unspoken expectations hanging in the air. Their attention stops being pulled in 10 directions at once. Their nervous system settles into a rhythm that feels familiar. Social interaction, even when it's enjoyable, requires constant adjustment. Reading tone, matching energy, deciding when to speak and when to stay quiet, tracking reactions. For some people, that effort creates energy. For others, it spends it. Not emotionally. Physically, being alone removes that cost. A helpful way to think about this is do not disturb mode on a phone. The phone still works, important calls still come through. But the screen doesn't light up every few seconds with notifications. People who love being alone aren't disconnecting from the world. They're managing interruptions so their attention doesn't get fragmented. This preference usually didn't come out of nowhere. For many, solitude became familiar early on. It may have been the only place where their thoughts weren't interrupted. The only time their attention belonged fully to them. The only environment where nothing unexpected demanded an immediate response. Over time, the body learned something simple. Alone felt steady. That learning doesn't live in words, it lives in the nervous system. When life feels loud, their system remembers where it regulates fastest. It remembers which environment doesn't require constant monitoring. That's why being alone feels restoring instead of lonely. It's not about withdrawing, it's about returning to baseline. This also explains why pushing them to be more social rarely works. You're asking them to recharge in the place that drains them. It's like telling someone to relax in a crowded grocery store on a Sunday afternoon. The problem isn't the people, it's the amount of input. There's also a strong sense of autonomy tied to solitude. When you're alone, your time is intact. Your attention isn't split. Decisions don't require negotiation. For people who love being alone, this isn't about control over others. It's about coherence inside themselves. They can think in complete sentences. They can follow a thought from start to finish. They can feel something without needing to translate it out loud. That clarity feels rare. And once you know where it comes from, you protect it. This is why they tend to be selective rather than isolated. They prefer fewer connections with more depth. One-on-one conversations. Long gaps between interactions. Relationships that don't require constant checking in. Not because they don't care, but because shallow interaction costs too much for too little return. Of course, this pattern can create friction. In a culture that treats availability as a virtue, choosing quiet can look suspicious. Declining plans raises questions. Enjoying time alone can get framed as something that needs fixing. Silence gets mistaken for withdrawal. But not every difference is a problem. This way of moving through the world comes with strengths: focus, self-trust, emotional independence, the ability to sit with your own thoughts without needing distraction. Those traits don't develop in constant noise. There are limits too. Loving being alone doesn't excuse neglecting people who matter. It doesn't justify disappearing without explanation. Adaptation isn't a free pass to avoid responsibility. It's simply the way a system learned to stay balanced. When people who love being alone do connect, they tend to do it fully. They listen closely. They mean what they say. They don't split their attention. Their presence is concentrated. It just can't be constant. Over time, many of them stop explaining themselves. They stop defending their preference. They build lives that fit their internal rhythm. Fewer plans, more space, less noise, more depth. And slowly the tension fades. In a world that rewards constant engagement, choosing solitude can look like opting out. But for some people, solitude isn't absence. It's the environment where everything lines up, where thoughts settle, where energy returns, where nothing needs managing. So maybe the question isn't why some people love being alone. Maybe it's what you notice about yourself when everything finally goes quiet. There are a few more patterns like this, and I'm always curious which parts people recognize in themselves.